Hey everybody, this is Mr. Bostic, Harlem Middle School Communications Technology and Leadership Academy. Today we're gonna take a look at Adobe Premiere, the Adobe Premiere Interface, and see what it's all about getting into it. All right, so what you want to do is you want to open up Premiere. You can open it from Spotlight. It's pretty easy. Type in Adobe Premiere and it'll normally pop up, or you can go through the Finder. Depending on what version you have, you'll see an icon on here somewhere that says Microsoft HD, or you can go to the Finder, open a new Finder window, go to the Applications folder, and find your Adobe Premiere folder and double click on Adobe Premiere Pro. Now I'm using Adobe Premiere CS6 because that's what I own at home. If you're one of my students, you're using Adobe Premiere Pro CS5. They look a little bit different, but really not that much, and I'm going to set it up so that it looks pretty much the way you're going to see it. But what you want to do is you're going to go ahead, this is your welcome screen, you're going to do a new project. For right now, we're not going to go into any of the settings here. For right now, I just want you guys to just hit OK. For here, normally I'm working with HD, but it'll probably be on DV and TSC, and it normally comes up standard 48. That's fine. You can use that. You don't have to name this because right now we're just talking about the interface, so we're just looking at it. So just hit OK, and boom, there you go. When you look at this, you know, it might look a little daunting, but it's really not that bad once you get used to it. It's made up of different panels. You know, everything is considered a panel, and it all depends on, you know, what you're looking at. Each panel does a different thing. Over here, you have your project panel. All right, this is where you're going to have your different pieces of footage, you know, that you're going to use as your clips. All right, so this is where you're going to import all of that stuff. This here is called your source monitor. This is where you put your clips or your pieces of footage so that you can shrink them down and choose what parts of the footage you want to use before you actually put it into your timeline. This down here is your timeline. This is where you're going to actually build your video or your movie. You have this broken up into two different parts. These sections up here are all your video channels, and then down here are all your audio channels. So, you know, you got a video, you're going to put it in there. If it has audio, normally the audio will automatically snap in with it, but it all depends on how you want to set it up. Over here, you have your program monitor. All right, this is showing you your final output. All right, whatever shows up in here, if you were to export it or make your video format it out into whatever format you're going to output it to, whatever you see in here is what your video is going to look like. Down here, there's a little section a lot of people don't look at, but it's important. This is your toolbar or your tool panel. Just like in Photoshop or Illustrator, you have a tool panel. It's normally over here somewhere. This is the same thing. It has all your tools on it, and it works the same way. If you put your cursor on it and let it sit perfectly still for a second or two, it'll tell you what that tool is. All right, so you've got, you know, a selection tool, track select tool, ripple edit tool, all kinds of different stuff. All right, we'll go into that a little bit later. Over here is another important section. All right, this is where you're going to find stuff like your effects panel, things like that. Notice that each panel, well, not every panel, but most panels, you have all of these different tabs. All right, and each tab is going to change what that panel is. So right now, since the effects is highlighted, I'm looking at the effects panel. If I click on info, this now becomes the info panel, and it's showing me the information I have. Media browser, you know, it becomes the media browser. All right, so it all depends on what tab you have selected. Okay, if you notice here in your source monitor, there's multiple things. You've got your source. You know, you can look at effects controls, audio mixers, all that kind of stuff. All right. Last but not least, just like in every other program, you have up here at the top, you have your menu bar. All right, that's important. That's where you got your file, edit, project, all that good stuff to get to things through your menus. All right. So it's just your basic interface. It's got all the same stuff that you would expect to see in most other programs. It's just it's set up a little bit differently than what you might be used to if you're used to using things like Photoshop or Illustrator, things like that. All right. So I hope this makes sense to you. I'm gonna have this on probably on YouTube, but definitely on my School 2 page, so you guys can always refer back to it if you have any questions. Thank you.